groovy.
You found me beautiful once.
Honey, you got real ugly.
They suck darkness.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Twisted Locker, your definitive horror podcast. Today we've got another classic review, and we've got Sam Raimi's cult classic 1992 Army of Darkness, his follow-up to Evil Dead 2, and it ties in nicely to that one. And we've got Ash Williams sucked through time to fight deadites on home soil.
Sucked through time.
Sucked through time, surrounded by evil. And I mean, this one is a cult classic. It's an absolute favourite of mine, this one is.
I saw this in the cinema. I was lucky enough. I was 13 at the time. I dragged my dad to come and see it. And at the time, I loved it. It was my favourite film. It's gone down a couple of scores over the years because it hasn't aged as well. But I am a fan of it. I have seen it lots of times. But what I loved about this film, it was at a time when there was no internet. So I didn't know this film was going to get made. I had an old magazine, a free magazine with a cinema, and it showed up and coming films, and it showed Army of Darkness. And I was like, oh, what's that? I was like, oh, that's Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 3. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I kind of missed that, like not knowing everything.
Yes, 100%.
It's handy, but I loved it. And my father and I loved it. And we both at the time, give it 5 stars. Yeah.
This movie still gets a 5 stars from me. Now, Evil Dead 2 is the best Evil Dead, and it is my favourite Evil Dead movie. But like I've said in other videos, Army of Darkness is my favourite Ash, my favourite version of Ash, because everything I love about Ash Williams in the second one, they dial it up to 10 in this one, and it is the most Bruce Campbell movie ever made.
Yeah.
It's got a fantastic opening when he's captured by Henry's army and he's dragged King Arthur's army, and he's dragged towards Castle Kanda. That whole opening scene with the pit, and you've got the pit deadite, and then the amazing opening dialogue that he gives. This is my boomstick.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the scene. It is by far one of the best openings I've ever seen, and is by far one of my favorite openings ever.
Do you know? When I watched it, because I was only a kid in the cinema, and when he was a slave, I thought, oh, this is a bit boring. This looks like medieval. And I was a kid. When he got thrown down the pit, and when he jumps up and his chainsaw clicks to his hand,
Chosen one.
I was just like, oh my God. And I instantly that changed like how I felt about this film. Because as a kid, I didn't want to watch a medieval film, because up until that point, it just looked like a normal sort of bow and arrows, boring castle film. But that's it. I mean, I don't know how strong his belt is and his fingers when he's hooked his belt round. It's so ridiculous.
But there is so many iconic scenes in this movie, and in a big way, it sticks with me more than Evil Dead 2. And like I've said, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite.
Yeah.
But this one has always stuck with me a bit more, and it's the one I always went back to when I was a kid, and I'm chuffed, because I got to show this one to my 8-year-old daughter. Now, I won't show her horror films because she's not ready, but I can show her Army of Darkness. Yeah. And she loves Evil Dead because I love Evil Dead, and she loves looking at my Necronomicon book, and she knew all about Ash Williams, and she's always asking me, when can I watch Evil Dead 2? So I thought, I can absolutely show her Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Now, on one side of that, I'm gutted because I do wish it was more of a horror film. And I wish he had followed up Army of Darkness with another Evil Dead. Obviously, we had to wait a long time to see Ash Williams back again with the series. And we wasted a lot of prime years of Ash. But a part of me has always been gutted it wasn't scarier. Now, you could have kept the comedy elements like they did with Evil Dead 2, but I just wish they ramped it up a little bit. But this film has so many iconic scenes in it, specifically when he goes to the windmill out in the wilds. And obviously you've got all the mini Ashes running about, and that scene to me is probably one of my favorite scenes ever. It's like a 10-minute scene where he's swallowing kettle water. It's kind of like the scene. Yeah, it's kind of like the scene where he chops his arm off to spite the deadite.
Yeah,
and he's obviously got all the mini ash inside him, and he's swallowing kettle water, steam boiling. It's
as if it wouldn't damage him, like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's exactly like the Three Stooges.
I love I love the villain, which is him, Evil Ash.
yeah.
It's a great villain to the point where it's very easy to sort of disconnect them both. You don't feel like it's Bruce Campbell. Do you know what I've always thought, though, as a grown up, like Evil Dead 2 is obviously a follow on from Evil Dead 2, right? And Evil Dead 2 is probably set over maybe 2 days. It's not much time in that cabin, is it?
No,
right?
no.
It's like a day and a night, 2 days at the most. He goes to the medieval days and he hooks up with that. What's her name? The girl Sheila. And I was like, he's only just buried Linda in the grave.
Yeah.
He's a twat.
He is. That scene in there where he's lying on the couch and they're feeding him grapes.
Yeah, do you know as well?
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow.
Yeah, do you know what I love as well, which is silly, is that like when they open his boot and he's got chemistry books, it's like, this guy's an idiot. Why? Even a brainy person doesn't have chemistry books in their boot.
Yeah, of course. But it's what he needed for the film, so they just give it to him. I absolutely adore this film, and I say this a lot on the podcast, and I basically say about every film I love. I love going back to this film. It's a film I go back to a lot, but I am the type of person that if I like a film, I will watch it on repeat. I can watch it day after day after day. I don't tend to do that because I get sick of that, and I learned that the hard way by introducing some of my favorite films to my daughter, because she's ruined so many films because I've watched them 20 times in 1 week. Yeah. And she did the same with Army of Darkness. I showed it to her and she wanted to watch it again and again until I banned her from watching it. I was like, right, you got to wait 5 months now before you can watch it again.
Do you know what I kind of wish they didn't do? Like, he invents a robot hand, right? They can't even do that now, right? Right. But when he invents it and they've got the tech in medieval times, again, it's like really strong and it's robotics. It's not just like a knight. It doesn't make any sense. But I prefer him with a chainsaw hand. I've never liked when he's had a hand. I know it probably is easier for the script. He probably thought, oh look, this is too hard with him not having a hand. Let's give him a hand. Let's just invent a robot hand. It works fine, but I don't know. I love him being that.
There's no doubt, Jenks. Obviously, the most iconic Ash is Evil Dead 2, the chainsaw hand, the ripped shirt.
Yeah.
I love it. And obviously, the film starts and he looks like that. And I agree with you. I'm always gutted. Now, I don't have a problem with him having a robotic arm. It's a silly film and he's transported back to medieval times. I'm sure that's highly unlikely as well.
I can accept time travel and zombies, but robot hands, I call bullshit.
But I do agree. I am always gutted when he ditches the iconic outfit and he obviously gets his new medieval outfit with a robotic hand.
Yeah.
But I have to agree on that one.
Do you know as well, right? They got the technology to invent a robot hand, but they don't have the technology to write down the 3 words he's got to learn on a piece of fucking paper. They just but it's like, you know that pens are like, you know, they had quills back then and paper.
Yeah.
They could say, look, they tell him last second, and you think like, hang on, he goes to that graveyard. Why did they have to wait for him to go to that graveyard? All he had to do was go there, read the words, and get the book. Anyone could have done that, didn't it? Not the chosen one. But
he's the chosen one.
Yeah, but I could have done that. Right, write down the fucking words properly and do them phonetically so I can pronounce them. And don't tell me last minute just before I'm going in. Yeah.
Right, just to put into perspective, Jenks likes to pick apart films, and Army of Darkness is probably the worst film he can watch because there's too much ammunition in there. Now, I don't see that. I watch it and I see a cult classic movie that is perfect. And it's an absolute 5 stars.
Yeah.
Easy 5 stars.
Look, I watched it the other day and I don't know, I didn't love it as much, but I will give it 4 stars because it has got some cool moments. It's got some iconic scenes like the boomstick and really great villains. And I'm a little bit hard on it because I've always preferred that Evil Dead 2 Ash. And that's why I never loved Ash versus the Evil Dead. It's a little bit too silly for me. I like the subtlety of Evil Dead 2 Ash, because as a kid, I didn't know it was a comedy until it grown up, and I like subtle comedy. And that's why I've always had a little bit of an issue with Army of Darkness, but it is still a cult classic. I admit that. Yeah.
See, that's what I loved about Ash versus Evil Dead, because it's got elements from both movies. Obviously, you've got the extreme gore, much more than Evil Dead 2. And you've got the silly Ash, the extra silly Ash, I should
Yeah.
say, from Army of Darkness. Season 1, I really liked season 1, but season 2 is top class.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic series.
Right. The last point I'll make on this, right, is it's not a slagging her off, I promise. I do like this film a lot. Like I said, I was lucky enough to see it in the cinema, and there is going to be a spoiler in this review, because it's an old film. But there's two endings, if those of you have seen it. And in the cinema, we had the supermarket ending, the S-Smart ending. And when it came on video at the time, VHS, everyone was telling me, oh, such a good ending when he goes to the future. I'm like, what are you talking about? Again, no internet back then. It was like, that's not how it ends. And it was such a weird thing to like not have a slightly different ending, but completely different. And they're both good endings, but I will say I prefer the S-Smart ending. I just think it's a cool ending.
Well, that's why the studio made him do that, because they were like, the ending's too grim. We need Ash to be a hero. So they finished the film and they went back and just filmed the S-Smart and chucked it on the end because... And obviously then, if they wanted to, they can continue making them. I don't know why they never made another Evil Dead until Ash vs. Evil Dead, but that is a mystery. But I only knew that the apocalypse ending, the end of the world ending, the VHS I had when I was a kid had that one.
Yeah.
But that is all we got time for today, guys. Let us know what you think of Army of Darkness in the comments, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.